We're going to sell to Northern. Gotta go get a drink.
I'll get the answer with facts. I'll get him the facts. So he gave her three. In fact, I'm doing better. Like I said, everything else is better.
When you're talking to the others, Ben.
Hey, Joe Fitz, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Congratulations.
Good evening. Program in the center of your booklet. And at this time, I introduce to you Hank Farmer, the principal of Roxborough High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Give me the book. Two? Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Bunch. We want to welcome everybody. This is the 12th annual induction. Sports Hall of Fame. We had just to refresh, some of you weren't there this afternoon, we had a wonderful lunch in school today in the library at noon and a presentation of the inductees. And we included many of our present athletes, scholar athletes at school, and it was a really wonderful afternoon this afternoon. We were going to continue it this evening with a wonderful evening here, and we have some wonderful inductees to be presented this evening. Mr. Hubbard will also be speaking, but right now, as I said this afternoon, right now our country is in a conflict in the Gulf. We have men and women of every race, religion, and creed over there protecting us. Whatever your political aspirations or thoughts are, they are people. We have to support them, and in honor of them, would you please rise so we can pledge allegiance? Flag is over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hubbard, would you come up? Do you have anything to say before we have the invocation? I'll present Mr. Cliff Hubbard, who's the athletic director, varsity baseball and football coach at Roxborough.
Just a few words, because I know everyone's ready to eat. It's really great to see so many people out tonight. great to see so many of you, and I don't know whether I should say this or not, but who have come out of my past. But there's some who I haven't seen, especially some of the guys with baseball team. I don't think I've seen them since they left school. So it's really great to see all of you here. We thank you for coming. Hope you have an enjoyable evening as you help us as we induct our 6 people tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. I'd like to present Mr. Fred Hauser, former football coach, athletic director, Roxborough. He's going to do the invocation. Let's give a nice round of applause for Mr. Hauser.
We bow for a word of prayer. God, our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the privilege of being here to honor these inductees into the Roxborough Sports Hall of Fame. We thank you in the way that you gifted them athletically so that they contributed so much to the great heritage of Roxborough High School athletics. Now, Father, we thank you for the food that will be presented to us. We ask that you bless it to our bodies, that it might nourish us, that we might better serve you and each other. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Fred. Now, before we eat, you have to bear with me. This evening, and the printing is small, so I'm going to try to read it with my old eyes here. In the front of the book, you can see the book is dedicated to Wilbur H. Lefty Hamilton. I never knew, Junior. I didn't know Wilbur was called Lefty. I'll have to ask him why. That's the first I've seen of that. But Roxborough High School class of 1953. And Wilbur is here tonight. Where's Wilbur? Would you stand up? Just wave your arms. Where's Wilbur? Thank you, Wilbur. Thank you. All right. I'm going to read this, and please bear with me. It's quite long, but it's very interesting. The Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame has honored many of its finest athletes, coaches, and teams since its inception 12 years ago. It boasts over 250 lifetime members and many more on an annual membership basis, and it continues to grow. Like any other institution, it took the foresight of a few dedicated people who felt the need for such an endeavor and felt the need forever to link the school with the community. This year's book is dedicated to one of the founding fathers of the Hall, Wilbur H. Hamilton, Jr. When the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame was an infant organization, it had limited resources, no place to meet, no materials, no administrative or secretarial help. Wilbur furnished all of these in quiet respect for the job at hand. He sought no recognition or personal glorification. He just knew that the school needed this type of organization to reorganize the rich history of athletics at Roxborough High School. He is a graduate of Levering Elementary School, Roxborough High School class of 1953, and Penn State University class of 1957. While at Roxborough, Wilbur was active in numerous activities. He was the manager of the football and basketball teams, president and vice president of the Boys Athletic Association, member of the a cappella choir, and in the stage crew. A graduate of Penn State University, received a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. Upon graduation, he was commissioned to the U.S. Navy and served for 3 years as Assistant Operations Officer aboard the fleet oiler USS Calais-Hatcher, number 98. That was a tough word. While serving on active duty and attained the rank of lieutenant junior grade before he was discharged. In 1960, he returned to Philadelphia and began his business career at Boardman Hamilton, a family-owned insurance brokerage agency. During his 43 years plus at the company, he held various positions and titles, attaining his present position as chairman of the board. As a member of the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame Executive Board, he serves as chairman of the awards committee and as a member of the golf committee, where he again donates his office space for their meetings. He was a board member of the Roxborough YMCA and the Philadelphia Cricket Club while serving as a committee man for the Republican Party in the 9th Ward of Chestnut Hill. The Roxborough High School Executive Board, its members and inductees wish to express a sincere thank you to a true community treasure in dedicating this program book to Wilbur H. Lefty Hamilton, Jr. Let's have a nice round of applause. Thank you, Wilbur, and everybody enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
everybody hear me? You hear me back there, Ron? We'd like to get the program started for this evening. You can take your seats, please. What we'd like to do first of all this evening is recognize the members of the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame that are here this evening. I'm not going to read these in any alphabetical order, but we want to recognize the people who have been inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame that are here this evening. When I call your name, I'd like you to please rise and please hold the applause until we're all finished. We'll start with James H. Miller, Jim Howard, George Reistad, Ron Halley, Terry Hammis, Fred Hauser, Pat Pavelka, Loretto Bunch, Ed Boone, George Coxenbach, Steve Miller, Gary Pester, Bill Boone, Joe Stanley, Pablo Gambino, Bob Warner, Norm Haverly, Cliff Hubbard, Joe D'Angelo, Jim Casanas, and Ben DeFrancesco. We have 66 inductees right now into the Hall of Fame, in addition to 5 teams, 2 football, 1 baseball, 1 soccer, and 1 girls volleyball. I'd like to thank all the members that are standing. Congratulations.
At this time, I want to recognize some individuals for attending this evening. Would you please stand? Kathy Mandarino, Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Al Angelo, Frankfurt football, 10 Public League championships. With the following wrestling coaches, please stand. I have, okay, Petkavich from Dobbins, Rose Stanley, King, Dave Shukat, 8 Public League championships, congrats. Hugh McDonough, 5 Public League championships at Alnwick. Ron Colston, Chestnut Hill Academy. And John Harlan, assistant wrestling coach. It gives me great pleasure at this time this is why we're here this evening. The presenter will come up to present the inductee. At that time, each inductee will receive a plaque, and there is also a plaque which we will hang on the 2nd floor at Roxborough High School. Each inductee is also receiving a citation from the City Council of the City of Philadelphia, which Michael Nutter has so graciously gotten for us. The citations, and I'm going to read the baseball citation. They're similar, but I'm going to read this one. City Council, City of Philadelphia citation honoring 1971 boys baseball team. Excuse me. The Council of the City of Philadelphia is pleased and proud to join the Roxborough High School family in congratulating you on the occasion of your induction into the Sports Hall of Fame. The Council notes that through your determination and discipline, you brought distinction to your sport, and today you bring pride to this community. Sports have always been a symbol of the highest values of life, and thus you are a model of our historic concepts of citizenship and humanity. The Council further notes that for these many years you have been honored for your contributions to athletics and to the wider sports community. We find that today you are a member in good standing in the Universal Club of world-class athletes, strong in spirit and committed to the eternal value of sports. Therefore, by virtue of this citation, the Council of the City of Philadelphia does hereby commend you upon your induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. We thank you for your contributions, and we extend to you the respect, admiration, and very best wishes of this legislative body. Congratulations, and it is signed by Michael Nutter, who is the councilman for the 4th District, and Anna Verna, president. At this time, would Jack Bottinger please come forward, and also Carl Flaxman.
Come on. I just want to start out by letting you know how excited I really am to be here tonight. When I first got the call from Ron Halley that Carl Flaxman was going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame, I was tremendously thrilled. In the same phone call, Ron asked me if I knew Carl. And did I remember him? I coached at Roxborough High School back in 1974-75, and I was privileged to coach football there, my high school. So yes, I did remember. But what I remembered had nothing to do with what was written in the book. All his list of accomplishments are great, and there's a long list of them. What I remember about Carl was simply this. At the end of one of the football seasons, Carl asked me to become an assistant wrestling coach. Well, first of all, I said to Carl, I don't think I'd be good for that job. I have very little experience. I had no skill. I had about a 3-week course at Westchester in my undergraduate days. I think you can get somebody better. Carl didn't want to hear that. He's quite a salesman. He said, listen, you do what I tell you to do and we'll be fine. And I said, well, I don't know about that. He said, listen, there's one thing that goes along with it. It's not a position. It's not a coaching position at the school. There'll be no salary. I said, well, I didn't mind that either because I volunteered to coach football there, so that didn't mean anything. Plus, it was my high school, and I felt obligated to do what I could do. Finally, he talked me into it. And I guess the best thing that happened there was that during that season, I kept an eye on Tommy Mayers, Ricky Henninger, Mike Pester, and Donnie Howe. They were football players who were wrestling, so I thought, hey, that's a good idea. Anyway, we went through the season. The season was over. I really don't remember the season. I think Tommy Mayers did something well in the public league, went to an individual level of achievement in the public league. But after the season was over, Carl approached me, and he gave me an envelope. I opened the envelope, and in the envelope was a check. A check with my name on it, and it was from his personal bank account. Quite a sizable hunk of cash. Well, to a coach, any hunk of cash is quite sizable. I said to Carl right away, I don't deserve this. I didn't do a good job. Honestly, I didn't think I did a good job at all. I was like a duck out of water with coaching wrestling. And I insisted that I didn't want to take it. He insisted I take it. I said no. He said yes. I said no. He said yes. Finally, I said, okay, he's quite a salesman. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And when Ron Howie mentioned did I remember Carl Flaxman? That's the first thing that popped into my mind. What the man was made of. Now let's move on. This fall, last fall, Thanksgiving morning, pre-Thanksgiving game breakfast. I'm sitting with Ricky Henninger. You know there's a possibility of Coach Flaxman getting into the Hall of Fame? Yes. What do you remember about it? Well, I remember this. Mr. Flaxman worked a summer job. Painting houses. With the money, he paid the wrestler's way to camp. Took money out of his own pocket again to put his wrestlers through wrestling camp in the summer. That's what I remember about Carl Flaxman. That's what Ricky Henninger remembers about Carl Flaxman. And again, nothing from the book. Nothing from the book. Carl Flaxman has always done above and beyond the call of duty when it came to wrestling, his players, and his assistants. Mr. Chairman, it is with great sincerity and appreciation that I present Carl Flaxman and his credentials for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Carl Flaxman.
Jack, thank you for the very generous and warm introduction. I quite frankly don't remember. You're sure that I told you to take the check? And we argued about it?
Yes, we did, yeah.
Okay, well, if you say so. Well, thank you again. When I started wrestling at Roxborough High School in 1971, several other coaches in the public league came up with the idea that we should try to start a league. So we started on a club basis first, and none of it would have been possible unless I had the support of the athletic director, who was then Fred Hauser, who became my mentor. He taught me a great deal about coaching. He approached wrestling with great enthusiasm, and I think he would have made a great 189-pounder. Fred was enthusiastic. He went out and he got us a set of mats. We started wrestling in the hallway outside the gym, and I used to stand in front of the stairwell to keep kids from running over or falling over the steps or going into the railing. They wrestled on canvas mats, and they were really tough kids, and they looked it. So I want to thank Fred for all of his support, his advice. I remember things like, if I can't do it in 2 hours, I don't do it. And I've always followed that. For the last 30 years, I've stayed to a 2-hour practice, and it stayed that way. The other man who was pivotal is a man that I coached with. He was also a mentor. You know, you always look to the older guys to be your mentors. And that mentor was Ron Howie, who taught me a great deal about coaching, the principles of coaching, and the values that you have to inspire. And it was Ron who said to me, a while ago, you know, we'd like to talk to you about going into the Hall of Fame at Roxborough. And I said, nah, Ron, I really like to avoid the limelight. And Ron said, no, I really think you should be considering this. Well, I don't know if you know anyone who ever said no to Ron Howie twice, but I don't. So thank you, Ron, for your persistence. This is turning out to be a very special evening for me. Along the way, Roxborough was a unique school. The parents, the community, where everyone was involved with contributing. And the parents, at the end of the wrestling season, would put on an all-you-can-eat banquet. And these kids who had been dieting for about 3 to 4 months would come to the banquet, usually held at the Y, and fill up with spaghetti and meatballs, ice cream, and put away incredible volumes of food. One set of parents were very special to me. They're Midwesterners from Missouri. And they invited Judy and me into their home. They gave us great food. I ate wonderful meals there. They sacrificed their last-born son to me, and then denied him food for about 3 years. He ate, I believe, Jell-O and cottage cheese with an occasional carrot. And I want to thank Dick and Carolyn Sears for 30 years of friendship and for their help in supporting the wrestling team. Dick was instrumental in our getting a mat. We drove out to York on a Saturday night, picked up a mat from York YMCA, and then drove back in a snowstorm. Then the three of us unloaded the mats into the gym, and I still have a backache thinking about it. I'd like to recognize some of the former wrestlers who are here. So what I did was I went through their weights. And what I'd like them to do is I'd like them to stand up so that you can all see how they've maintained themselves over the years. I'm only 4 pounds heavier than I was then. At 98 pounds, we had TJ Hahn. TJ, stand up. 98, left side. At 112, John Barnes. 119, Keith Harrison. Also, we had another 119-pounder in Rob Luke, and so he did 112 sometime. Am I right, Rob? Rob looks pretty good. 126, Frank Sears. 132, Bob Behringer. 138, Paulo Gambaro. 145, Joe Behringer. 152, Joe Horan. Not anymore, Joe. 165, Tommy Mayers. 185, Don Hout. And at heavyweight, Whit Henninger. And I'm sorry, there's somebody at 152. Our translator for Paulo was Mimo Gambaro. Stand up. These guys were and still are an awful lot of fun. I appreciate their coming. They have enhanced my night tremendously, and I thank them for the great pleasure of seeing them again. I'd like to recognize some of my personal friends who have come, and some of the coaches who have come. They've already announced their names, and I want to thank all of you for coming and helping me celebrate this very special evening. I have two friends who are here who have been friends of mine for 30 plus years. One is Art Chodoroff, who was a teacher at Roxborough High School and the director of the band. He's now at Temple, where he's the chairperson of music. Art, if you're about there, I can't see. I think you're behind the pole. And another friend is here who is a fellow spelunker. I went caving with him and have incredible tales to tell if anyone ever wants to listen. They're all almost unbelievable, and that's Frank Collins and his wife Suzanne. And I had a very special treat tonight. My daughter Claire is in from Minnesota on her spring break, so she was able to come, and I'm real pleased that she's here. She was my traveling companion for 4 years to Central every day, gave me all kinds of advice, especially about who should wrestle at what weight, what strategy we should use. And then I had a real special surprise, and that is that when my wife met me this afternoon, one of my other daughters, who is living in California, Ellen, came in. So I was really pleased with that. And lastly, I'd like to thank the person who's most special, who has been a constant source of support, has worked probably very hard and secretly with Ron Howley in getting all of these people here. And I don't know what I would have done without him. 30 years of advice. That's my wife, Judy. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. This is Carl's plaque, which reads Science Teacher, Wrestling Coach, 1974 to 81, founded the wrestling team in 1972, Public League Champ 74, for a citation. If you would have a seat up here, please. And Fred Hauser will now come forward and present Tom Hartman.
I'd just like to thank Tommy for considering me to be his presenter. Tom is in the Hall of Fame with his 1967 first championship football team. And yet Tommy deserves to be in this Hall of Fame on his own merit. He was such a big contributor to our winning the first Public League Baseball championship. Tom's record that year was 10-1. And to look at Tommy, and all you have to do is look at that picture in the book, and you can see that he would not intimidate anyone when he got on the mound. He was this tall, thin young man, athletically built but not powerful, had this young-looking smile, and certainly was not intimidating. What they could not see, though, was the heart of a guy who was a real competitor. And they couldn't see that until he got on the mound. He was extremely intelligent, had tremendous control, had good speed, and had a ball that really moved. And Tommy proved his competitiveness in that final championship year. His only loss that year was to South Philadelphia High School, a team that was loaded with good. South Philly was always a good hitting team, but they were loaded with left-handers that year. In the game, regulation was tie ball game, and they had to go into extra innings. And Tom was up at bat with a runner in scoring position. Now he fouled off 7 pitches, and something pitchers don't do. They usually swing at the first one, watch the second one go by, make a valiant effort at the third one, strike out, sit down, and go wait for the next inning. Tom was determined. He was not going to pitch one more inning. He was going to drive that run home. He fouled the 7 off, drove the winning run in, and as a result, they won the championship. He had that same heart in football, and in his junior year, Kenny Smith was our quarterback, got hurt late in the game, put Tommy in, took him one play to score a touchdown, and we won that game over Graz because Tommy threw that touchdown. So it is with a great deal of sincerity and appreciation that I present to you Tom Hartman and his credentials for acceptance and induction in the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Coach Hauser. I think the highlight of my football career was I never kind of saw myself being a real football player, being a quarterback, and we used to do the 2-man sled. And I remember after at one practice, I was with someone, I hit the sled, and Coach Hauser said, "Hartman, was that you?" It was like really hard. So that was probably the highlight of my football career. So it seems like a very short period of time since I was here last. It was only a year ago where Jody Stanley and I were accepting for the Roxborough High School baseball team that won the first city championship, if you will. And I never really thought I would be inducted on my own, so I took that opportunity to thank the 3 people that were very influential in my life, and that was Mr. Hauser, Mr. Hubbard, and Mr. Howitt. I won't go all through that because Ron Maiden is there saying 5 minutes and you're done. But I will remain indebted to them for the rest of my life because they truly were very influential for me. as I look at my induction, if you look at the two positions, I played quarterback and pitcher. There can't be any two positions that are more dependent upon your teammates. In fact, you're totally dependent upon them. So whatever success I've had truly was related to the teammates that I played for, Jody Stanley and others in baseball, and then the excellent people that I had a chance to play on the football team with. So I appreciate the honor, but again, I think as a pitcher and a quarterback, you're very much, it's the teammates that you're playing with. However, I would say this, if there's one thing that I'm particularly proud of, for those of you who've competed in the public league, a lot of you have, I know, in baseball, there really only are a handful of teams, I think, that are pretty competitive with teams like Roxborough. And in my senior year, that definitely was Central High School, as Coach Hubbard will recall. And so, as it relates to the thing maybe I'm most proud of in my whole athletic career is that I pitched 3 times against Central. Every one of those games was one run, and we won all 3 of them. And we had to get through Central to get into the city championship game, which subsequently we indeed won. So I would like to point out that probably the only regret I have in life is that my 2 sons that are here tonight, if they would stand up. First, pitcher number 1 would be Chris Hartman, and pitcher number 2 would be Scott Hartman. And it would have pleased me the most to have seen them pitch for Roxborough High School. So, without further ado, Ron, I think I'm doing okay. I'd like to thank Coach Hubbard for nominating me, and those of you who were responsible for me being inducted. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Class of 67 varsity football, baseball, first team all-public and all-city baseball. Congratulations. Now, Joe Horan, presented by his father, Joseph.
For Ronnie Maiden, I checked the first 2 presenters, and they each had 30 seconds left, so I'm going to take all of them. I have a little speech prepared that I like to. Seriously, I like to switch gears a little bit and kind of change the focus for some. I don't see any need to reiterate the credentials which earned Joe this distinguished honor. Instead, I'd like to say a few words of thanks to the many people outside of the faculty and coaches of Roxborough High School who contributed to the accomplishments both on the field and off of Joe and many other kids in the Roxborough area. I'm talking about the men and women of the youth-oriented community groups who provide the time, experience, and interest to develop the abilities, both athletic and academic, of the young people of the community of Roxborough. And I see quite a few of them here tonight, in many, both of my age and a lot younger, and I'm glad to see that. Without this assistance and encouragement during their pre-high school years, it's likely that many of these current nominees may not have had the opportunity to stand before you today. I am personally aware that this was the case with Joe. Without the involvement of many people who taught, coached, or otherwise aided in his development, both as a person and as an athlete, he would not be here before you today. So I'd like to express my thanks and his thanks for their appreciation, for their efforts, which often go unnoticed. It is also why I consider Joe's recent achievement of being the first former Roxborough Eagles player to be elected president of that organization one of his most significant accomplishments. Mr. Chairman, it is with great sincerity and appreciation that I present Joe Horan and his credentials for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame. Thank you.
members of the Roxborough Sports Hall of Fame for selecting me to receive this prestigious honor. I would like to congratulate my fellow inductees on their election to the Hall. Their credentials speak for themselves. I won't take much of your time. I would just like to thank a few people who helped and supported me along the way. First on the list would be my mom and dad. I'd like to thank my dad for always demanding perfection, but accepting your best effort. Dad was very involved in the sports community of Roxborough and showed me the meaning of getting involved. He started out coaching Babe Ruth baseball in the 60s and finished coaching 55-pound football in the mid-90s. I want to thank my mom for always being there for all of us. Mom taught us to treat people the way that you would want to be treated. Mom never complained about our sports schedules. She would just serve dinner at 4 different times to accommodate all of us. The night before games, Mom would cook dinner. Mr. Bott ran a prayer meeting the night before our games. A lot of inner city kids that had to go home on a bus and then come back. Mom would cook dinner for all of us, and then there'd be 15 of us for spaghetti dinner. Mom always took care of us. Mom and Dad were our #1 fans, attending virtually every sporting event we participated in. They never missed one of my varsity football games, be it home or away. They had police escorts, various and some of the other things going to those games, but they got there. Thanks again, Mom and Dad. I'd like to thank my brother Marty for his support and friendship over the years and for his putting up with me as a coach with the Roxborough Eagles. I'd like to thank my sister Ann for cheering me on and not complaining, because she's 10 years younger than us, so she was stuck going to a whole lot of games. Thanks, Ann. The true Hall of Famer in our house is my sister Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen beat more opponents than anybody in this room. Mary Ellen, bear with me a little bit here. Mary Ellen was given last rites at birth. She suffered a stroke at the age of 4, which left her partially paralyzed. She suffered through countless surgical procedures and years and tests after her stroke. She went through all this without a whimper. Mary Ellen overcame all these obstacles, went on to cheer for the Roxborough Eagles, graduated from Houlihan, and works for the federal government today. Thanks, Mayor, for showing me that no hurdle is too high. You were and are an inspiration to us all. I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Karen, for running our household, chauffeuring the kids, helping me with my duties with the Roxborough Eagles, serving on the St. John's Home and School Board, and supporting me in anything I undertake. I want to thank my children, Joseph and Maureen. They're both good kids, and I'm extremely proud of both of them. I'd like to thank my mother and father-in-law, Liz and Joe, my sister and brother-in-laws, for their presence here tonight and for treating me as a member of the family since the day I got married. The Gatos family is tops in my book. Thanks to my friends from the Roxborough Eagles, the Boones, the Henkels, the McGinns, for sharing this special moment with me tonight. I'd like to thank all my teammates, for without them, this accomplishment could never have been achieved. I'd like to remember Jay Renner, one of the guys we played with. Good man. Sorry he's not with us. The last group I'd like to thank are my coaches. I was blessed with many good coaches, as evidenced by the number of them that are members of the Roxborough Sports Hall of Fame. And that doesn't include just the ones that coached me in high school. I'd like to personally thank my high school coaches, Mr. Flaxman, who's being honored here with me tonight, Mr. Hubbard, Mr. Bott, who taught me how low whale dung is, Mr. D, and Mr. Hay. A special thank you goes out to 2 of my coaches who have passed away recently, Mr. Bill Bottinger, who coached me with the Vikings, and Mr. Dick Schwartz, who coached me with the Roxborough Eagles. They may be gone, but they will never be forgotten. In closing, I hope the war in Iraq is over quickly and that all of our servicemen return home safely. I will remember this night forever. God bless America and go Indians.
Thank you. Class of 76, all public, all scholastic football, City Bicentennial All-Star pick in 1976. Congratulations.
my good fortune to be Bill Phelan's soccer and swimming coach while I was teaching at Roxborough High School. He was much more than a good athlete. He was what we call an ideal all-around student who possessed a great sense of humor and involved himself in the life of the school. Now, this trait that he had then, he still exhibits today in his adult life in the Roxborough community, where he resides with his wife, Sandy. Sandy, raise your hand. And Sandy's uncle was Dan Spizzeri, the basketball coach, former basketball coach at Olney High School, which I know some of you coaches know. And he has a son, Douglas, who's a student at LaSalle High School, and William, who is a sophomore at the Catholic University in Washington, D.C. Now, I want you to know, folks, that I've been retired 10 years now, but I still have that teaching habit, and I just sort of getting to talking to a group like a teacher. So, I want everybody to pick up their assignment book. See this book? Okay, pick it up. And your assignment is that you're going to read the contents of this book, read about everybody that's in there, and there's going to be a test following this book. When you remember to fill in the little circles all the way, don't mark more than one answer or else the answer's going to be wrong. And there will be a review on the test. Okay, let's review what's in this bill right up here. If you turn to the middle of the book and then turn 2 pages, you'll see a photograph of Bill Phelan. Now, Bill, you may see this in a review and you may see it in the post office. I'm not sure which. But if we look down, and I'm going to tell you what's important and what isn't. First thing, he was an excellent trumpet player. That's not important. That'll be important if he gets the MTV award. The second thing is that he was in the National Honor Society, and, well, that's good, but that's really not important about this award. He'll get that award when he's on Jeopardy. He was an all-star fastball pitcher, and a good fastball pitcher. In 10 straight years, he made the all-selection team among the community softball players. That's not important. Besides, we don't handle underhanded people. He was involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Well, that's pretty good, but it's really not that important. When he gets to heaven, he can start a softball team, so that'll work out. He was an avid golfer, shot in the low 80s, and again, that's not so important. He'll get that award at Pebble Beach. But his interest in golf motivated him to start and found the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame scholarship award that we have. And everybody has a copy of the information about the classing. Now this is important. Oh, my 2 minutes are up already.
Oh,
Quickly, an excellent track man, but an outstanding soccer player who actually only played 2 years. He didn't know how to play soccer until he got to high school. He made Old Public. He, senior year, took us to the playoffs for the championship. We were beaten by Frankfurt High School. The coach of Frankfurt High School, Walt Barr, moved on to Temple University the next year, and he recruited Bill to go there. Bill went to Temple on a scholarship. You can forget most things I say, but remember this. Remember what he's done for this community, and halfway down this book tells you what he does for the Roxborough Indians. And Bill, you're a gift to this community as a person and as a soccer coach. So, Mr. Chairman, it's with great sincerity and appreciation that I present Bill Phelan and his credentials for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame.
So this is it, my 15 minutes of fame. Sorry, Ryan, they gave us 5, right? 5. Okay. so many things go through your mind when you a special moment like this, and time kind of stands still, and that brief respite allows you to reflect on what you've done with your life, why you did it, who was a major influence, and the question that haunts us all: would you do the same thing if you had to do it all over again? I remember I came to Roxborough High School in 1967 as a skinny little trumpet player, wanting to play with the big guys in the orchestra who visited our grade school on special occasions. When spring rolled around, I felt established in the band, in the orchestra, and the jazz band. I was then stopped in the hallway by remedial gym teacher Bob Boom Boom Bradley. When he asked me if I wanted to come out for the track team, it sounded more like he demanded it. And I was given a track team tank top that I didn't even fill out, and I was running middle distance my freshman year. Then he asked me to come out for soccer in the fall, my sophomore year, and I remembered, yeah, I'll do it for kicks. Ooh. That first day in the cinder field at Kendrick Recreation Center, I really asked myself, why couldn't these guys just throw and catch the ball? It's too hard to do it with your feet. So I remember I saw a barrel-chested blonde-haired kid that was wiping out anybody on the field that had the ball. That was Bobby Bowles. I fell in love with the sport, even though years later I'd still be picking cinders out of my skin. Then I was good enough to do two things that I never regretted for the rest of my life. First, in the spring, I was recognized by the other track coach, Mr. Howitt, who asked me to work out with the sprinters and the hurdlers. And when I found out that they did not run as much as the middle distance guys under Boom Boom, that choice was easy. And by my junior year, I was good enough to play varsity soccer. Second, it was then I found out why the other soccer players were so good. It was then I met a man who would leave an indelible mark on my life. The reason for both of these discoveries were one and the same person, the legendary Dr. Jerry Casanas. His ability to teach, to treat starter and slug alike, to be a compliment to the talents of Coach Jim Howitt, really made me try my best. The good players, the committed players, played year-round for the Doc at the Y. And so I committed myself to a lifelong of Saturday practices and a lot of cold Sundays when we played games. This is why the Roxborough High School team was such a powerhouse back then. This is why there was a family. There was a core group of parents, including my father, that were at every game. So with Mr. Howitt, the consummate coach, and Dr. Casanas, like your father, it was really a privilege to play soccer for Roxborough High School. In my senior year, I was one of 3 starting all-public seniors that fall along with Bobby Worth in goaltender and Steve Kalesha at midfield. We played on a very talented squad of juniors who in their senior year would bring Roxborough High School its only undisputed city championship. Kreider, Battaglia, Matlack, Locker, Bowles, Carball, and my brother Jim. All publics to all Americans, they put RHS on the soccer map. That team is in the Hall of Fame also. But I had to settle for the Public League Championship game in 1970. We went to Frankfurt, we lost 2-0. I was selected all public. But that game did more for my career in soccer than I ever imagined. It was no mistake that Frankfurt was the measuring stick, the dynasty in the public league, and I caught the eye of Coach Walter Barr. He was going into Temple in the fall, and he asked me if I'd join him with an impressive cast of recruits. I joined 3 other RHS alumni, soccer alumni there, Ed Bogowski, Tim Casanas, and Ashley Halsey. And the jump from public league soccer to Division I was rather overwhelming. Again, I was fortunate who crossed my path. As much as I learned about the game of soccer, I also learned how to be a gentleman, how to win with class, lose with dignity, but most of all, respect the role of a coach. One common thread between all these 3 people, Dr. Casanas, Jim Howitt, and Walt Barr, that I still carry with me today in soccer is that humble dictate that playing the sport and loving it is not a one-way street. You have to give something back. It is the driving force by which I guide by today and the work that I've done in the community through to today. I started coaching for Dr. Casanas at the Y in about 1975. In 1980, I helped engineer the merger with the Indian Soccer Club and what is now today the Roxborough Indian Soccer Club. Basically, we serve over 400 area youth from intramural to travel. We have a year-round program, fall soccer, indoor winter, outdoor in the spring again. It's now under the able guidance of Jeff Stebbins. By far the most rewarding return that I have is to see these kids grow in the game of soccer and their academic endeavors and enter into the top area high schools in our neighborhood. Now, all this work in community soccer does not come without a price, and my family usually bore the brunt of that. While I have followed both my sons through soccer from age 5 to 16, my other duties in the program have pulled me apart more than I care to mention. I truly feel that anyone who wishes to acknowledge a volunteer in community sports must first look to the family that surrounds that person. They are the ones that have made the sacrifices, probably none more than my wife of 26 years, Sandy. And here is where that proof comes to bear. While my two sons, Bill and Douglas, are held their own on the soccer and baseball field, they have excelled in the classroom. Bill went through 4 years at LaSalle College High School with first honors and achieved the equivalent of all Catholic in debate forensics. He represented LaSalle in such cities as Chicago, Phoenix, Seattle, St. Louis, and Atlanta. My son Douglas is currently a sophomore at LaSalle, receiving first honors, and is also involved in debate. However, he has excelled in my other love, and that's music. Doug recently placed third chair in the All-Catholic Orchestra and Concert Band, and he also plays sax. It's these achievements that I am most proud. So back to tonight in the Hall of Fame, and I am certainly not the most talented soccer player to enter the Hall, and there are plenty of talented soccer players still out there. I know. I've played with them, I've coached them, and I've watched them. I also feel my nomination is due in part to what I've done with soccer in our community, and well it should. For you see, the ideals of commitment and respect and that drive for excellence were instilled in me while I was at Roxborough High School and also growing up at home on Murray Street. I conclude tonight with an old proverb that has always stayed in my mind. Some people go through life just eating the fruit. Others go through life planting trees. I can only hope when it's all said and done for me that people will say I planted a few trees. Thank you very much.
Class of 71 All Public Soccer, the 440 and 880 relay school record, and Temple Varsity Soccer. Congratulations. Frank Turvey to present Joseph Turvey.
I would just like to start this evening by saying I'm very proud and honored that my brother Joe would ask me to speak on this special night, being inducted into the Roxborough Hall of Fame. Joe took a lot of pride in being a Roxborough Indian. He worked hard on the field and also worked hard off the field in the classroom. Joe was a great team leader who led by example. I know this because I myself had the privilege to play on the same team. Not only am I proud to have been his teammate, I'm even more proud to be his brother. Mr. Chairman, it's with great sincerity and appreciation that I present Joe Turvey and his credentials for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. Joe Turvey.
Thank you, Frank. I'd like to start off by thanking everybody who had a hand in voting for me. I am truly honored. I mean that. I've had many memories of Roxborough High School. Mostly I remember when I was 8 or 9, cutting through Westerman Field on my way to Little League practice, hoping to catch a glimpse of a baseball game, and getting all excited if I would see that game, catch a couple innings, and charge off to practice, pretending I was on the Roxborough High School elite. And little did I know, a few years later, I would be a player there and excelling, standing in front of you tonight, accepting this. So I'm very proud of that. I've got many wonderful memories at Roxborough, both on and off the field. I've got memories of terrific teachers who helped me excel academically. Without their help and support from my teachers, I would have never been able to step foot on the baseball field. As everybody knows, without good grades, you didn't play sports. I'd also like to thank my coaches. I'd like to thank Mr. Haverly, who was oftentimes tough and loud and intimidating, but he loved us kids, and he had a heart of gold, and thought the world of us, and we thought the world of you, Mr. Haverly. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Hubbard. He was a man of few words, to say the least, but he made a great impact on my career. He taught me how to be a student of the game. I always respected the professionalism Mr. Hub showed and the quiet confidence with which he led us to a 1989 championship public league, for the public league. And also my teammates. I've had great success as a player with many individual accolades, but without my teammates, these successes would have been nothing. I wouldn't have had anybody to share them with. And also, it would be an honor to have my name mentioned in the same breath as some of you people out here tonight that have gone before me, the people here tonight, and the people that will be inducted afterwards. And last but not least, I look out at my mom and dad, and I see how proud they are of me. And I just want to let them know how proud I am of them. Because without their support and love, I wouldn't be here tonight, except for this. I love you guys. Thank you.
Class of '89, Varsity Baseball, All Public, Carpenter Cup, St. Louis Cardinals. Congratulations. Before I bring Mr. Hubbard up and the 1971 baseball team, speaking of teams, and Roxborough has always had tradition of strong teams, and it's because of the minor league, if I may use that term, organizations which we have in this community. They were briefly mentioned. At this time, I would like those people from these organizations to stand. The 21st Ward, and would you please remain standing? The Roxborough Eagles. I'm waiting for you to stand up and to stay standing, please. The AA Indians and the Summit Chapter, Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. Would we give these people and their organizations and the people they represent a hand, please? They work with many of our athletes so that when they come to high school, they're ready to be coached. And at this time, would Mr. Hubbard come forward, and I believe I have the co-captains, if they would come forward, of the 1971 baseball team. Steve Miller, Waldeck.
Two of the members of this team have passed on. I'd like to ask you, if you would, just bow your heads for a moment of silence, in memory of Al Rama and Tom Kelly. Thank you. I know the entire team was not able to be here tonight, but I'm going to call their names, and the guys who are here, if you're here, if you come up and stand in the front while I make the presentation. Dave Brown, Charlie Brown, Steve Miller's up here already, Floyd Harris, Derek Hicks, Dave Jardine, Tom McComb, Mike Trailis, Paul Sosnowski, Gary Pester. I'm going to ask if Patricia and Dorothy would come up and stand for Tom Kelly. They're the sisters of Tom. Paul Fisher, Eddie Fulham, Jerry West, Jim Morrison, and Bobby Waldeck. I think I'm probably take these guys out right now. Because my baseball team now, they probably might be. This team was 22-0, and And it probably sounds like, wow, he must have killed the whole public league. Well, we had 6 one-run games during the season. This was a time where these guys really had a chance to shine, because all these one-run games, they hung right in there and they played a game that they could be proud of. I know I was on the sideline, biting my nails. We got down to the semifinal game, we played Frankfurt, and we played 2 games. The game wound up going 14 innings. I don't remember which one started, but Bobby Waldeck pitched 7 innings and Derek Hicks pitched 7 innings. And finally, Jerry West hit a ball. We were playing over Central, and it went off the concrete wall in left center field. And we finally won the game in the 14th inning. Well, to top that off, when we got the championship game, we were losing to South Philly as we went into the later innings. And we were behind by 1 run. We tied the score, went into extra innings, and we were behind by a run in the extra inning. We were losing 4-3 in the 8th inning. It came up to the bottom of the 8th and scored 2 runs to win the game 5-4. And that was just to show what these guys were made of. You could always count on them to play an outstanding game. You could always count on them to come through when it was time to come through. And every one of them up here had something during the season where they contributed an important hit, or they scored an important run, made an important out, or did something that preserved the victory. So it was truly a team effort, and this is why this team deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. So, Mr. Chairman, it is with great sincerity and appreciation I present the 1971 baseball team with their credentials for induction in the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame.
On behalf of my teammates, we would like to first of all thank the Sports Hall of Fame Committee for all their hard work and dedication in putting together this wonderful event. We want to congratulate the other inductees and thank the members of the Hall for electing the 71 baseball team for induction. And finally, we want to thank Coach Hubbard for those kind remarks and for his prowess in guiding us to an undefeated public league title. At this time, I would like to defer to Paul Sosnowski to offer a few remarks about our teammates who are no longer with us.
Steve asked me to speak briefly. He doesn't know how hard that is for a lawyer to do, but I'll do my best. We had 2 co-captains, Steve Miller and Wishy Rama. And Bobby Waldeck should have been our tri-captain because he was as important in that element as the other 2. But Steve asked me today to mention 2 of our colleagues. And here with us this evening, representing our teammate, the late Tom Kelly, are his sisters Patricia and Dorothy, standing in front of us, or in front of me. Tom was one of the 4 catchers on the team. We needed 4 catchers because Waldeck and Hicks threw so hard the catchers' palms would get bruised. We all admired Tom, knowing the pain he endured as he warmed up the pitchers before each game. He never complained, and he did a great job. If Aloysius Rammer were here, the other co-captain, I know he'd have that big mischievous grin on his face and be happy for all of us to join together again. Wishy, my buddy from first grade on, had one of the sweetest first baseman gloves I ever saw, and no offense to Eddie Boone. He'd laugh that I had to wear glasses here to read this. Wherever you are, Wishy, I know you're looking down on us and giving us the thumbs up sign. If Wishy were here, I'm sure he'd also tell Mr. Hubbard what a great baseball coach he was and is. He'd tell Steve Miller what a great co-captain he was, and how lucky we were to have such a great group of guys who came together to be a really great team. I know he'd also say thanks to all of our parents, many of us who came to the games and support us through every game. And lastly, I think Wishy would thank the 21st Ward Athletic Associations, teams, and leagues. Although we had a few guys who weren't from the immediate neighborhood, most of our guys did. We had players from the Phillies, Panthers, Tigers, Indians, Braves, and A's, Yankees, and Cardinals. For Wishy and Tom, I'd like to say thanks, Roxborough. We're very proud.
Thanks, Paul. The thing I remember most about this team was our closeness. We all grew up playing ball together from the age of 7 or 8,
either as one of John Boyce's Bombers behind the rec on Saturday mornings, or learning the basics of baseball at the North Lake Boys Club. Later, most of us played in the 21st Ward Little League. Kiwanis Phillies, Cahill Tigers, and the Ivy Ridge Panthers made up practically this whole team. But that was a time when you played ball because that was all there was to do, and you loved doing it. Literally, in the summer, from sun up to sundown, we played ball. If the cover started coming off the ball, you taped it with electrical tape. If the bat cracked, you taped it with electrical tape. Nobody had money to buy new, but we had a passion for the game, so we did whatever it took. The 21st Ward Babe Ruth League was one of the best high school feeder programs in the city. In my 3 years of varsity ball, we played for the public league title twice and missed playing for it a third time by just one game. Yes, Roxborough was a hotbed for baseball, and I'd like to introduce some of the 71 team members who are here tonight. Bobby Waldeck. We're going right down the row, folks. Bobby Waldeck, selected the most valuable player of our team, was one of a tandem of pitchers who set the standard for others to follow. I don't know if there ever has been a 1-2 punch like Waldeck and Hicks either before or after that incredible year. Bob had a great fastball and a killer curve. He was, for all intent and purpose, unhittable. Paul Sosnowski. What most people didn't realize was we had 3 undefeated pitchers on our team. Because Waldeck and Hicks were so good, Saz didn't get to pitch that much, but he was the bullpen, the only other pitcher to stay with the team to the end. He did fill in one game in the outfield due to illness and had a couple of hits, drove in, and scored a couple of runs. But Coach wanted to keep him safe in the bullpen where he really belonged. Dave Jardine, more commonly known as Gainer, a nickname he got from Coach Ben DiFrancesco, was our catcher. A heck of a receiver, he couldn't hit a ball to save his life. Until, after going about 1 for 15 over the first 4 games, he decided to try batting left-handed. He went on to bat around 400 the rest of the year, and he hit with power. It was too bad it took till his senior year to figure out he was a natural left-hand hitter. Gary Pester was our center fielder, and it goes without saying you have to be fast to play center field. He wasn't just the fastest guy on our team, but one of the fastest in the league. He led the team in walks, steals, and runs scored, and is himself an inductee of the Hall of Fame for his accomplishments not only in baseball, but in football as well. Paul Fisher. Paul started out the year as our third baseman. He had cat-like reflexes and could catch anything that came his way, but he had a little trouble getting the ball to first base. I would even yell at him from first base, figuring if he couldn't see me, he could hear me and throw to my voice. When Coach couldn't take it anymore, Paul became our #1 go-to pinch hitter. With hard work, he went on to be the captain of the defending championship team his senior year. Mike Trailis. Mike was one of our bullpen catchers. Not only was he a good catcher, but he brought something very special to the team: humor. He was the John Kruk of the 71 team, keeping everybody loose. We'd be in one of our many one-run games, and Coach and I would be all uptight trying to keep everybody focused, and you'd look up and there would be Mike in the first base coach box with his hat on crooked. You couldn't help but laugh. Everybody but Coach, that is. But he worked hard, and you see, what he did worked, because every one of those one-run games that year, we won. Fast Eddie Fulham was one of the unsung heroes. I forget how he got the nickname, but it has stuck to him till this day. His specialty was everything. He played infield, outfield, and would even catch batting practice. He epitomized the term utility player for the 71 championship team and would do anything for the good of the team. And finally, we have the Brown brothers, David and Charlie. Dave was the scorekeeper and the most popular guy on the team. The pitchers wanted him to keep down their ERAs, and the hitters wanted him to keep up their batting averages. Many times I took him to D'Alessandro's for a cheesesteak when I thought he'd cut me a break in the scorebook. Only later did I come to find that Coach Hubbard reviewed the book after each game and made corrections accordingly. And finally, Charlie. Charlie was, to use a new millennium term, our coordinator of hardwood inventory. I just can't bring myself to call a 48-year-old retired Philadelphia police captain a bat boy. Of course, he was much more than that. He was one of the most unselfish guys I ever knew. I'm giving strong consideration to nominating him for the Hall of Fame for the valuable contributions he made to the football and baseball programs while at Roxborough High. Honestly, Charlie, I don't know what we would have done without him. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1971 undefeated Puppy Race champion. undefeated public league championship team, record 22-0. Team included 4 all-public players.
We are going to do it. Just I have one thing to do. I am going to take. Oh, Ron has disappeared, so I don't have to. He doesn't have to. Okay. This has been brought to me. This is a letter that was written to Mr. Flaxman from one of his former wrestlers who is in California. And Mrs. Flaxman asked me to read parts of it which are appropriate for coaches, which I am going to do. I'm leaving out some of the parts that were written to specifically Mr. Flaxman, but I will start with, wrestling skills aside, what you taught us was much greater. You never let us glide through anything. When I was screwing up in your biology class, you didn't take it easy on me because I was one of your wrestlers. You failed me. That's what I needed, a wake-up call. Loud and clear that said, if I perform below my abilities, I will face consequences. That taught me to always be accountable for my actions. Just being a wrestler is a great preparation for life. Going through a 6-minute match and not giving up in the least bit. That's one of the most difficult accomplishments in sports. You showed us how to make it through that 6 minutes without quitting, but you showed us much more. In addition to showing us how important it was to be warrior, you showed us how important it was to use our brains. And how important it was to have a sense of humor. You were and still are, I'm sure, a funny little guy. You always had us laughing. Know that I take the lessons you taught me into my life every day. That, in my opinion, is the key to how successful a coach is. He shouldn't be remembered just for wins or losses. He should be remembered for how much he cared and how he improved lives. That's how I remember you, Coach. That's always Jeff here. And this time, with Norm and Pat come forward for the 50-50, get out your little red tickets.
Well, the committee would like to thank this generous crowd because we took in $850. So the cash award will be for $425. The first drawing will be for $200 and a quarter. The second one for $100, and the third one for $100. And with the generosity of this, the golf committee, the last drawing will be for a foursome for the golf tournament on September 26th. So with that, I'm going to have some of our honorees.
987-290. 987-290 for $225. Is that you, Donnie? No. Oh, okay.
You have a winner yet?
Numbers. 290.
Roll it.
Roll it again.
Read it one more time. I don't want to.
9,
Somebody might be in a bathroom.
290. For 100. All right. Okay. We'll hold this if they come out, and then we'll do it again at the end. This is for $100. 987-634. 634. Is that you, Donnie?
987.
634.
We have a lot of people leaving.
Oh. 634. There you go. Oh, thank you. Fun.
Donated back to the scholarship fund.
Back
Thank
to the
you.
scholarship fund. Thank you. $987-680 for $100. 680.
There you go.
Enough. The camera. All right. Well, here, wait a minute. Wasn't you yet, Tony? Okay, one last time on the
We're
first
going to read
one.
the first ticket one last time, and we'll have a drawing for the 225 if that person doesn't.
290. The last three numbers. Please. 987290. Going once? Going twice? Okay, pick another one. For 225. Come on. Come on. Come on. Another 20 to rest.
For you.
987539. Come on. 539. It's 225. Yes, sir. Congratulations. And then this last ticket is for a foursome to the golf.
This is for the free foursome for golf course.
Nine, 87444. Triple fours. Now you need it. I'm trying to take your step. Mr. Moran. I was going to Joe. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Again, thank you for your generosity.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we are about at that time when time to close. And I know in some ways it's kind of hard for people here who I haven't seen in years. You know, like to just stay around and talk the whole night, but that's not possible. We would like to thank all of you for coming tonight and helping us to honor our inductees. I would like to, I'm not sure where she is, I'd like to salute our hostess, Vera D'Angelo. Where's Vera? I know she was out here somewhere. I'm not sure where she is. But Joe's over on the side, so acknowledge Joe. Again, we thank all of you for coming. Just a word about the Hall of Fame. If you look on the page opposite, the right up on the 71 baseball team, there's information about the Hall of Fame Club. It's open for anyone to join. All the information is there. We urge all of you, if you're interested, to join. You need to take out a yearly membership or a lifetime membership. And then you can nominate your favorite athlete and also vote for your favorite athlete. So if there are any of you who are not members, who would like to become members, Paul Fisher is our membership chairperson. But if you don't know how to get in touch with Paul, you can get in touch with either myself or Mr. Marmer at the school. We'll be sure the information gets to Paul. We are going to conclude the evening with something that I know all of our Roxborough High School alumni members know. We're going to finish up with our school song. We ask everyone if you'll please stand while we do the school song. If you look
commercial. You notice this program is being taped, so if the inductees will be receiving a copy of the tape, but if there's anyone else who would like to have a copy, it's $25. Now, committee, since do I look like John Barkley? He said you'd come up here and help me sing this. The words are on the inside back cover. And if Fred Hauser would come forward, because immediately at the conclusion of this, we would like you to do the benediction. Please.
Okay, on the inside your back cover, here we go.
Yes.
Oh, Roxborough, we love thee, we will stand by thee through all. Oh, Roxborough, thou beautiful, we will never let thee fall. Our Roxborough High School, way up on the hill, all will hear her glory, echo with a thrill. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will. Oh, Roxborough will see thee as future years pass by, still holding as you're doing now a place of honor high. Our Roxborough High School, way up on the hill, all will hear her glory, echo with a thrill. Bum, bum, bum. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will. Thank you. Let's just
Our Heavenly Father, tonight truly was inspiring for the gifts that you've given to families and individuals, and we just thank you for your goodness and your grace. We just pray that you'll go with us this night, that we might instill what we heard here tonight in others. In your name we pray.
I have